Good afternoon, everyone.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to the second day of our blockchain community event. My name is Vipin Bhupan, and I'm a product manager in EPAM Systems. Today, we have a very interesting topic to discuss. Every one of you have heard it by now, the Metaverse, that immersive network of 3D virtual environment that could either be a lot of marketing hype or an $800 billion market by 2024. Made up of virtual and augmented reality, the Metaverse is a mashup of the digital and the physical world, a limitless landscape for social connection, gaming, and entertainment, where users can interact and buy and sell goods. In this particular environment, the next challenge will be the data interoperability on the Metaverse. And today we have Victor to discuss this interesting topic. Let me just give you a brief introduction about Victor. He's the digital engagement lead at EPAM Middle East. He comes from our Imakinas acquisition in the Middle East, where he was the digital and growth marketing director, a consulting role focusing on customer experience strategies enabled by tech and data. Because he is based in Dubai, one of the hottest cities, pun intended, within the Web3 ecosystem and his never-ending curiosity for all innovative things, he got immersed into the Metaverse and the applications it has for business purposes. Bridging the gap between Web 1 and 2 and into Web 3, you can find him around Metaverse events in Dubai or jumping around within Decentraland and the Sandbox. So welcome, Victor, to the session, and hope the participants will have a wonderful time listening to you about data interoperability in the Metaverse. Also, a brief message to all of you. Please do put in your questions for Victor to answer, and all of you will be getting free NFT giveaways after the session. So welcome, Victor, once again to the session.
Thank you, Vipin, and hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, sharing this day with all of you. Thanks for EPAM to put it together. I think it's a really great example of how we are navigating this new Web3 ecosystem. I have with me as well Ward, managing principal of the practice in EMEA. Hi, Ward.
Hi guys, good afternoon.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about data interoperability. I'm sure that the term interoperability is quite known for everybody. It's one of the biggest challenges that we're facing as an industry, how to tackle it and how to make sure that everything connects to each other. So I want to really focus a little bit on how brands can measure that performance, because I think from our point of view as consultants and working really closely with brands, how do we help them understand the narrative behind the Metaverse, which combines pretty much all the different technologies that are available within the Web3, and how do we help mass adoption? Because at the end of the day, that's one of the key aspects of bringing the Metaverse to life, right? How do we make it accessible for everybody, immersive, seamless with our daily lives, and breaking the barriers of how to onboard those brands, and how do we help them and handhold them over that journey. So without further ado, Vipin did a really great intro of myself. I'm Victor Madueno, originally from Spain, been 10 years in Dubai. I'm the digital engagement lead for the region with EPAM. That's me on a picture, you see me, and this is me as an avatar in the virtual world, right? So really everyone chooses how they portray themselves, or what fantasies they have, or how do they envision themselves in the Metaverse. Myself is quite a realistic view of myself. A bit younger, it might say. Some people around me will say, oh, you look quite younger there. Well, let's keep it that way, so we don't really age that quickly. So without further ado, what is data interoperability, right? What do we talk about when we want to address this topic, which is the whole Metaverse Standard Forum, associations within the Metaverse and Web3 are discussing about it, right? So it's a bit of a funny story, right? Let's break it down into two different things, two different streams. First, data, which we all know what data is all about, right? This is the facts and information and the statistics collected together for references or analysis that we do. This is what we do as EPAM. We do this day in and day out. And interoperability, what that means, is the ability of computer systems to put that together, to exchange and make it use of those data sets or information, so we can, have a better understanding and how that connects to each other. So when we put that together, what is the meaning of data interoperability? It's the ability to access and process that data from multiple sources, whichever those are, without losing meaning, and then integrate that data for mapping, visualization, and other forms of representation and analysis. That is, kind of the dry representation of it. If we look at it from a more, let's say, plain English for everybody, enables us as people to find, explore, and understand the structure and the content of whichever data sets we're looking at. So if we look at it from a metaverse standpoint, it's a bit complex because everything is quite, disjointed and silo at this point, which brings us, as it was in Web 1 and Web 2, where it's no difference. We're seeing the same, cycles of bundling and unbundling, kind of a thing or metaphor to that, or how do we bring this cohesive ecosystem from Web 1 to Web 2 to Web 3. So interoperability has been, the buzzword of the year. Last year was it as well. This year is even more. But not many people know exactly what is interoperability. And this is the key aspect of what we need to address. And how do we, understand the granularity of what interoperability means? Why do we need to? Or why is it, the buzzword that is, creating massive Google Trends spikes over the last few years? Is because the massive hype and the massive, let's say, adoption of technologies that we see in the last few years. It's all silo, as I was saying, but everything together defines what Web3 is, and obviously what will define even more and even better. But these points are, as blockchain, NFT, metaverse, cryptos, DAOs, smart contracts, how they all come together to form a Web3 ecosystem. So if we look at, and we leave that everything all for now, and we just look at the metaverse, what is the metaverse? And how can we define that? There's no better person to define what the metaverse is. And I think it's the best quote among everybody and within the industry that explains it really clearly, really easy to everybody to understand. The grandmother of the metaverse, Kathy Hackel, defines that as the seamless convergence of physical and digital life. We know that mostly of those virtual worlds, or the metaverse as one, it's all about gamings. It has a big heritage from the gaming industry, which was the first ones to develop some way or another virtual worlds for us as users to play. And we utilize our representation of ourselves as an avatar with three pillars, right? And it started really in the last few years, more on the commerce side. So we have socializing, commerce, and gaming. Those are three key elements of how do we define, or how do I define what the metaverse is and how that physical and digital life comes together. I want to say and add my part, which is an augmented experience of our physical lives. It doesn't mean that we're going to live in the metaverse all day, all the time. Ready Player Me kind of movie, science fiction, where it is not science fiction anymore, it's a reality. The thing is, it's not going to take over our real lives. It's going to be an augmented reality of our lives. How can we, an augmented experience of our physical lives? How do we actually, tell that story through our avatars? And how do we create meaningful experiences to us as people through those digital worlds or virtual worlds that we can experience? And how, in this case, brands will allow us to engage with them and how people will engage with us, either friends or non-friends, that we interact with within these worlds, will enhance and leverage that experience. So that's me again. There is this is really a bit of a lot of discussions. Many people say metaverses. Many people will say that the metaverse is just one. I believe so, as it is as well the internet. So we have on one side what the internet, as a whole ecosystem that we build. It's one. There's no multiple internets. It's one internet, and then all the subworlds and subdomains that happen within that internet. In the metaverse happens something similar, which there's a metaverse kind of owned by Meta. Facebook rebranding Meta last year. But the true thing is in the metaverse, the actual initial term was coined by Stevenson and Snodgrass in 1992, I think it was. So it's not really owned by Facebook whatsoever. And the metaverse is just one. And then within that metaverse, there's multiple subworlds and virtual worlds that create that ecosystem. However, there are many other virtual worlds with unique immersive experience. There's literally tons of virtual worlds created every day, either from the more mainstream ones or the more vertical ones, completely branded, that anyone can create, really easy to build. Or you can go for a more robust and kind of more immersive experience with your brand identity at the forefront, where you can control more what the experience would look like for your customers or users, right? So a small, representation of that. Pretty much everybody knows Roblox. Roblox spike daily active users is spiking in Q1 2022 to 55 million, if I'm not mistaken. And then, in Q2 2022 saw a decrease for the first time in the last few years. But that didn't stop. Actually, I think it's around 2/3 of the youth population in the US is actually playing Roblox, or is in a way or shape or form utilizing Roblox, either consuming video content on YouTube or actually playing the game. My son, which is 6, is not allowed to go into Roblox until he gets 7. But literally, brands are engaging with these young communities to create that kind of bond with them before they actually grow up and they can afford those kind of luxury brands in general. And we have Decentraland. Both of them, you can see a little bit of a cartoonish, not realistic or hyper realistic design. Decentraland is one of the decentralized open metaverse, open virtual worlds, where the land is owned by the users, by the landowners, and pretty much everybody's invited to come in to have a better experience and have that kind of commerce component. You connect with your wallet and you can play around. Usually I'm alone. The daily active users are not that much, but the average spend of any user in the last month, it was 8 minutes per person. So still there's a lot of adoption to be made, and the experience is still within a laptop, online on the cloud. It's not on premise, but the experience itself is still not an enhancement or an extension of our daily lives. We need to spend some time within the laptop as if we were gaming, or in other worlds utilizing VR experiences with the headsets. Then we have the Sandbox, most probably all one of the biggest names in the metaverse space, owned by Animoca Brands, so AAA games. The actual Sandbox is in the Alpha 3, so there's 3 different campaigns that they've run. The first one invite only, Alpha was a mix, and now pretty much open to everybody to join on Alpha 3. They actually got 4.7 million visits in Alpha 2, almost 2 million users. So imagine the volume that we're looking at compared to Web 2, Facebook having 2-point-something billion users, right? So we're looking at the really infancy stage of this ecosystem. And then you have Fortnite, which is started obviously as a game, this kind of battle royale games And they saw that the potential of moving towards more a virtual world where people can actually connect, more like a World of Warcraft, where you can actually join there without having to play the game itself. So you can really be there for the sake of socializing, exploring, and networking with other people, with the same like-minded people with the same interest within the metaverse. These 4 different ecosystems are really founded by the commerce component, which you can really, I'm going to discuss it a little bit later, but you can buy and purchase products virtual to virtual with brands, developing a new model that is direct to avatar. So you can buy your own skins, you can buy your own products that you can utilize within the world itself, but not beyond that. Fortnite had around 2.5 to 4 million users as well. So we're looking at a really, small user base. Some virtual worlds that I just mentioned some of them. You can see Decentraland, obviously Meta with Horizons coming. There's some, less unknown in this part of the world, but in APAC, Cipito is quite popular as well, similar to Roblox in the way that they connected with the younger audiences. Then you have Roblox, the Sandbox, Fortnite, as we said, Upland, which is a little bit more less mainstream for the majority, but is really big in terms of real estate and landowners. Next Earth, which is another, is a digital twin of the Earth, completely mapped on reality, and you have parcels. The world is completely parceled into 10 by 10 meters parcels that you can own, and there's a lot of game mechanics behind the Next Earth. There's another one called Earth2.io, which is, well, something, a replica of the world. And then you have really much more NFT driven communities with the other side that was started by Yuga Labs, the owners of Bored Apes Yacht Club. And they created a quite interesting world out of their NFTs. So you can really have a quite interesting experience there. Each of them has their own game mechanics, their own brands. They have different audiences, so every brand needs to understand as well who they're talking to, and based on that, choose the virtual world that they want to come in and create an experience for that audience, obviously. The other less mainstream, as I was saying, there's one really big white label one that pretty much everybody can use. It's already built-in turnkey solution for virtual worlds that is called Spatial.io. And there's a lot of people already utilizing for businesses purposes, education, meetings, presentations, etc., which is really nice. I encourage you to check it out. It's quite popular and quite easy to use. There's others like Odyssey, which is as well US based. It has similarities with Spatial. It's a little bit more centralized, so you need to create your own profile. Based on that, they give you access to some of those worlds, but you cannot really create your own worlds. Those are already made by the team, and you can come in and utilize them and socialize there wherever we want. There is others that this is many people maybe might know, is the Vodafone mixed reality experience, where at the end is a different combination of this virtual world, right? So you are creating an augmented experience of your day life. As I put, pretty much all of the rest, except Meta and some others, they're really laptop driven, either on premise that you need to download the game, or you access on cloud directly through the website. And then you will have others that are literally more advanced in the experience, which is mixed reality or augmented reality, which will completely enhance our physical lives. And as an extension of us as people, we can enjoy both worlds and the best thing of both worlds without interrupting our physical life. And in my opinion, one of the key elements of mass adoption is to be on the go. The same that happens with social media on our phones, on our smartphones. The only way that we can really generate mass adoption is if this technology can come with us anytime. They all have about amount of data. They have monthly active users, daily active users, behavioral data, environmental data, transactional data. But I'm going to put you some questions towards that, you know. However, do they share that data within world brands in general, with everybody, as a world, you know, putting kind of similarities to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, in that sense that they have, you know, open data pretty much out there? It is, they share with them, but it's quite limited in terms of what KPIs and metrics they share. And I put you the example of the Walking Dead game on the Sandbox. The Sandbox has an API that, as a brand, you can connect and you can extract the data and stitch it within your own data warehouse or whichever platform you have to visualization. The only thing is that this data is quite limited and it's still, you know, unknown. The user will utilize some kind of DID, decentralized ID, which you cannot really stitch properly with all the data sets from Web 1 and Web 2. Do brands have access to their plotland or activation data in most of the worlds? Yes, but limited again, right? So there's an infancy stage of what the data sets, the metrics, and the standards of this data still being discussed at really high level, you know, of the industry itself. And I pointed out, even now is part of the Metaverse Standard Forum, where everyone is discussing what are those standards and how can we look at data and standardize data sets and metrics across all the different virtual worlds. I put you the example of the last Metaverse Fashion Week, which happened in April. Literally, I was in touch with the team that put this together, and when Decentraland provided the data, they literally have 4 KPIs, 4 metrics that didn't really give you know, much information about it. You know, how many people entered that day or at that time of the day, and pretty much it. You know, there was no interaction whatsoever. There was no attribution of, you know, those users coming in, what they were buying, what they were engaging with, what they were kind of, what catwalks they were watching. There was literally, you know, 4 metrics that they could tap into. And it's really, really hard to evaluate if it was a success or not with just looking at 4 metrics. Can brand engage data or aggregate data of their multiple plots? Yes, they can. So through APIs or SDKs, you can do that and manually implement that into your own dashboard and visualization technology that you use, but it's still really in the infancy stages. Let's say your brand owns, you know, few parcels in Decentraland, and you because it's really big, you bought 2 plots and you have 2 different stores, a little bit, you know, maybe similar or not, but you created a little bit of a kind of walkthrough. So if you're in one part of the map, you can still go to that store. The point is, can brands connect or aggregate data from multi-worlds? And this is where interoperability comes in, and is what I believe is crucial, because it's not there yet. So you cannot really stitch, as you have multi subdomains or websites or e-com platforms that you're managing through, I don't know, either Google Analytics or any other platform. You cannot have multiple multi-worlds all connected to one same dashboard and attribute who's that customer moving from one to another to improve the customer experience that we will deliver to them. Let's say your customer navigates from Decentraland to the Sandbox. Whatever happens in Decentraland, all the products that you bought, all the NFTs that you bought, either wearables, apparel, etc., will stay there. You can take your NFTs, if you have them on your wallet, and connect them to the Sandbox. But your NFT or your digital apparel, let's say your skins and your wearables, will stay there because they have differentiated, you know, what does it look like? Decentraland and the Sandbox, they have different brand identity, they have different look and feel or characteristics when it comes to the avatars and the world, the same as Minecraft, for example, or Fortnite. So data interoperability between multi-worlds is not there yet, which is one of the key elements of how do we, you know, go from Dubai to New York. We take a plane and we go. We're the same person, same outfit, taking a plane and being there. If you teleport from Decentraland to the sandbox and you take with you as a wardrobe everything that you own within the Web3, then we will be having this kind of data interoperability or interoperability within the metaverse that will allow us to completely navigate through one another, as we do within the internet. Not without giving too much of information on non-fungible tokens, NFTs, pretty much everyone knows. There's not just the art side of things, the Bored Apes and the likes of. There's a lot of other NFTs, and every day there's a new use case, a new application on how to utilize NFTs, right? The last one was Starbucks with their loyalty program, but there's event tickets, collectibles, digital apparel, virtual land, digital twins, digital art, etc. It's literally one of the parts of what we call within the ecosystem. It's the products that we purchase, that we buy, collectibles that we use to build that. In terms of interoperability, as I was saying before, each of those different worlds will have different look and feel. So the apparel, for example, won't fit in one another. Creating digital wardrobes that can allow you to store those skins, those wearables, that you can transfer and reconvert to the characteristics of that world will be key as well. So NFT interoperability challenges, for example, within the avatar itself, one of the companies that made it and is clearly change maker within the industry is Ready Player Me, which created an universal API of that avatar that can connect, and you can take it pretty much everywhere. There's few collections already, brands taking their stand and branding those avatars with their collections of skins, that you can utilize that as a pre-made, or you can have your own designs that you can plug in as well to them. I'm going to go a little bit quicker because I thought I was going to have more time. So we have two sides, decentralized and centralized worlds. Decentraland, which is kind of the main decentralized world, is owned by the landlords, as I said, it's cloud, not on-premise, has open SDKs. And on the other side, you have pretty much all of them, which are centralized. Although they say they are decentralized, they're still either on-premise or they own pretty much everything from the land and the data that is happening there. So brands are entering the metaverse, but what level of data and metrics can they expect? I guess that you will have some questions there for the end. What can they expect, right? So if we look at, for example, Forever 21, activity data that can collect within their store, the POS within the world in Decentraland, it's monthly active users, daily active users, attendance of visits, but pretty much no other KPIs or metrics on that. How do we convince the CMO to spend 10K on the metaverse without data? How do we convince 100K or 100 million? If there's no data, we've seen in Web 2, no one will take a stand. No one will really invest because there's no way to validate what that investment would look like. What is the ROI of my investments? So obviously there's a change that needs to be made on this, and obviously the industry is looking into that. But let's look inside a virtual store. What does it look like? So Forever 21 has a store with different floors and kind of a replica or a digital twin of what it will be a physical one. If we look at it from a marketing, let's say magic or merchandising standpoint, how do we place things within that store will be key, right? So there's a lot of data that we can collect, or we could be collecting, from footfall and visits to the store, heat mapping of what the people are doing. They're moving around the ground floor, they're going to first floor, second floor, how that user flows can benefit us as a brand to understand their behaviors, and what do they engage with, what do they touch but they don't purchase, what do they purchase, how many times or recurrencies they come and they purchase a different product, and understanding the lifetime journey of the lifetime value of our customers within their journey. It will be really crucial, right? So who that customer is. If I just have a wallet, how do I understand what customer, how to address that customer and how to improve that experience for them? So in that sense, how can I deliver as a brand a better customer experience if I don't know my customer? This is key. And if we look at it from where we are today as an industry with customer data platforms and moving away from DMPs and CDPs taking over, is how do we understand and create that identity resolution across different channels within the marketing mix. And this is quite crucial. If we look at it, as the metaverse as a new marketing channel, or as marketeers, we prefer to call it that way, but it is a new user experience or user channel that drives an immersive experience. How can we plug into that, marketing mix? Let's step back really quickly on what the Web3 ethos is. And obviously this will help us understand why is it really challenging to gather that data. It's all about ownership, and ownership of pretty much everything. We are the creators. There's a trend of creator economy that started Web 2, but at the end of the day, that data or that content or those creations are owned by the social media platform itself. It's not owned by the customer or the user in this case. Is literally owned by the platform itself. In Web 1, we were able to read. In Web 2, we were able to read and write and contribute to that ecosystem. And in Web 3, we'll be able to own as well. So all these creators economy, NFT creators, digital arts, wearables, land creations, architects within the metaverse, building the buildings of the metaverse and the spaces in the metaverse, everything is owned by the people who spend their time in these worlds. It's not owned by the company itself. Although there's some of them that still own some of those lands, and they can expand and release new pieces of land, and they still will be in control. But there's worlds like Decentraland, which everything is owned by the user, by the owners, by the landowners. And people, when they purchase a piece of land, they become part of the DAO within Decentraland, and they have voting rights and voting power to change what the company's future will look like. That is kind of the ethos of where we're going. In Web 2, the users were the products. Us, me, you, we were the products. And in Web 3, we are the owners. That's the key difference of where we are and how we can address this. So at the end of the day, the ethos is to be the owner of my own data. How can I own my data? And what brands need to do in order to tackle that? It's contribute and reward for the use of my data in their own benefit, right? We're falling back from first-party data that happened in Web 1 and Web 2. Obviously, there's a cookie deprecation coming in 2024 from Chrome, completely shaking the industry. And we're moving from that first-party data to even less zero-party data that is in Web 3. What level of data we have from our customers right now and users? In Web 1 and 2, we have PII and IDs, personal identifiable information, or identifiable data that can be stitched together and tell the narrative of who we are and how do we behave, what do we purchase, what times we come back to that, for example, online store, and how is that journey with that brand, which is part of a bigger holding with multi-brands, and how do we purchase different brands along the journey and as we mature. So that is a little bit where we are today. But what comes in now with Web3 is DIDs, decentralized identifiable data. That it brings back zero-party data. Why? Because DIDs is in shape of a wallet. The digital wallets that we call, or identity wallets, what they do is they completely, create anonymously the identity of that user, which if you come to any virtual world and you connect your wallet to ours, to that virtual world in that sense, or that brand when you purchase, we won't know exactly who you are unless we stitch your data with other Web 1 and Web 2 IDs. So the idea is right now, everyone who is going around is quite, anonymous to those brands unless they can create an activation to stitch that data. There's obviously gates, activations that allows you to connect the wallet to Discord, to Telegram, etc., or you actually purchase an NFT that will open a gate, to access a different stage of that immersive experience with the brand, more premium, more VIP, etc. But it's still an issue or a challenge for identity resolution unless we do that, right? We know what happened in Web 1. It was log in, log out, easy. You have multiple passwords for everywhere or the same one everywhere. Obviously, that changed over time. We went to Web 2, where you can start signing in with your Google account, quite easier with Facebook, Twitter, you name it. Two-steps verification, different tools for authentication. There's a lot of more identity resolution that happens, right? So we store more your identity, we utilize it to improve, enhance, deliver to you that experience as a brand. And today we have MetaMask or Coin Wallet, or there's many that you actually log in with your anonymous ID, the ID that is your wallet ID. How do brands get to know their customers? This KYC kind of a thing. So this wallet, identity wallet, if we can connect it to, as I was saying, with your email ID, with your social IDs, with your loyalty ID, phone, or any other passport, resident, national ID, whatever it is, those data signals from that user will start stitching, and we can create a from a known to known process, which is what customer data platforms are doing right now. Then we will understand who's that user and how can we better communicate to them for better personalization, improve our marketing automation to them, etc. So if we look at how that links into identity resolution, then we can say, hey, this wallet is actually Victor. And if it's Victor, because we know his behaviors, we can address better what kind of marketing campaigns we want to do, what kind of media campaigns we want to push to them, and so on, right? So if we look at how brands can connect their zero-party data to Web 1 and Web 2, there's many options. There's APIs, there's SDKs, scripts that we can create within those buildings, and then link it into the customer data platform. Once we have that into the customer data platform, we can do magic. And this is where we are today, doing magic and doing personalization at scale, one-on-one on omnichannel, without really having to interfere too much in their daily life. So the user will feel that the brand talks their language, they know what they want, and then we can deliver to that as a better experience. If we plug in the new channel, which is the Metaverse data and the Metaverse channel, then we can start feeding that customer data platform with Metaverse or virtual world data. And if we can do that, what we are looking at is a blend between the physical, digital, and virtual world into one. This will give us customer journey 3.0 and keep expanding on 3.0 different areas. But the idea is, how can we connect that to improve the experience that we have? So today, if this sounds familiar to you, Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3, we're in a really infancy stage. We're in between and the transition between Web 2 and Web 3, which obviously it needs a lot of work. I like to put it in this way to summarize everything. If the products or the NFTs are the products and the Metaverse is the experience, data is the validation of everything we're doing, and we can really ensure that brands can measure their performance and improve their experience to their customers. With this, I want to stop now and go for the QAs. There's a few snippets. Maybe we can share this presentation as well later to the crowd, and any question, feel free to shoot.
Thanks, Victor, for this fascinating talk. And indeed, we have some questions from the audience. Let's take it from the earliest one. So the first question was, will Metaverse be the next Matrix?
The next one?
The next Matrix. So basically plugging into an alternate reality and people losing the sense of
the next
actual real
metrics.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there is the science fiction, obviously, which I cannot guess what the future will look like. There's movies telling what that science fiction could look like. I think it's going to be something more as a mixed reality, which is enhanced by the experience that we get with those lenses, with those glasses, that can help us have that blend between the three worlds, the physical, the digital, and the virtual one. Matrix, yeah, in a way, but I don't think so, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, do you think people confined to their homes for the last 2 years due to COVID created an unsustainable user-based growth in Metaverse?
I think it did, and in many ways, Zoom calls, WhatsApp calls, Teams, you name it, there is obviously a need for an improvement of that experience on how do we connect with people. Definitely, we couldn't really leave our homes, and we were stuck there with just the laptops and screens, right, to connect with each other, missing out all our families and friends and people around us. So obviously there was a loneliness aspect of it, that we felt alone and we needed to connect with others, and the virtual world helped us connect in that way. Still, 2 years ago, we were really at much infancy stage of where we are today. The technology wasn't developed that much. The virtual worlds were not as robust as they are today, and there was a big of lack of understanding as well what that virtual world will look like and how to navigate. I think we're going to see a mass adoption in years to come. Gartner is predicting that it will be pretty much adopted by in 10 years from now. It is all about how much people want to give in this kind of virtual space, how comfortable they are by starting to test educational sessions. Instead of doing a webinar on Zoom, they will do it on an auditorium, for example, on spatial. The same way we were going to the grocery stores offline, the pandemic helped us to move into e-commerce, and e-commerce adoption was speed up by 5 years in that kind of Gartner's chart. I think something we will see adoption sooner than 10 years, but it's going to take long until people are fully immersed and spending their days there.
Yeah. Thank you. So the next question is, what would you say is the main challenge the Metaverse faces?
The main channel, it's interoperability between them. How can we go from Decentraland to Roblox, the sandbox, other side, with our own avatar, transforming our identity from really cartoonish to maybe more hyper-realistic version of ourselves. I think Ready Player Me is doing a really good, kind of a bridge to connect those worlds. Brands will tackle more the direct to avatar instead of direct to consumer, which will allow us to purchase new products, new, virtual to virtual or virtual to physical, where you can order your burger, for example, instead of going to an app, go and purchase your burger independently of which world you are. Then you can go as well physical to virtual, so buying your own house, for example, physical real estate property, and how that correlates. They will provide you with a file or your house ready-made as a turnkey, the replica or digital twin of your house that you just bought in the virtual world. How you move from those virtual worlds autonomously, seamlessly, and with no barriers. I think that's when we created what internet is today, free world where people can move around, but with the ownership aspect of it. I think that will be the key challenge for our industry.
Okay, thank you. This one comes about fashion industry. So with brands such as Tommy Hilfiger setting up digital showrooms, replacing their physical stores, how can Metaverse help in these evolutions?
That's a great question. I was reading, literally, Tommy Hilfiger launched the new collection on Roblox for the New York Fashion Week a few days ago. There is the same way, and I put you this as an example. The same way there are retailers, brick and mortar brands that are closing down and moving to e-commerce, there will be the same from e-commerce to the Metaverse. At the end of the day, why should you, have higher costs of as a company, why you should go through those high costs of maintaining a store, a brick and mortar, or a physical store anywhere in one of the Fifth Avenue, when you can have your, for a tenth of a dollar, you can have even bigger building with more products, completely coming in and having that experience in a more immersive way. Gucci, for example, is one of the cases. It's not just direct to avatar, it's how can you go to that store and buy your physical products and get it delivered next day, or fast delivery within the same day, utilizing technology that will recognize your shape and figure straight away, and they can send that, and you won't have to go through the process of kind of returns that is massive in every single market, right? So I think it's just adoption wise happened the same from physical to online e-commerce, and it will happen the same from e-commerce to metaverse, obviously in time.
That's a window to the future. Thanks, Victor. So this question is actually my question. So wouldn't linking the Metaverse ID to the customer KYC defeat the purpose of blockchain anonymity, which is
Yes, it will. It does. I think users, we are more cautious today than we were in Web 1 and Web 2 about our privacy. We know that our data has been utilized, for good and bad. And we've seen that over the last 10 years, kind of 15 years. The ethos is ownership and, data privacy and confidentiality, compliance, you put it governance. There's a lot of words that comes around that Web3 ethos of privacy. I think as users, as customers, we like to have personalized experiences from the brands that we love. It's not that we're not going to have that. I think once we get to the standards, we agree on the standards of how do we utilize that data in a meaningful way, something that users will accept and will be happy for brands to use it in a good purpose way. I think we will give it away. And younger generations, they are less cautious with that. They openly share their privacy. There's no privacy in that sense. They grow up with these technologies already. So they're fully digital natives, and they understand that to get that personalized experience, they need to provide them with the data. And if brands cannot access to that data, then there's no personalization whatsoever.
Okay, perfect. So the next question is posted by Priya Ranjan. So his question is, what is the exact state of EPAM in Metaverse? Any active projects yet?
Well, that is a great question. I think you should wait for the next round, next session. Ask War. He's the managing principal. We've done a lot. As far as I know, we are new to EPAM with the acquisition that happened in November. So we're still figuring out. We're integrating as we speak in the Middle East quite fast. And there's a lot of opportunities. Dubai, it's going to be, as you said, it's quite, hot topic in the country. There's a Dubai Metaverse strategy by itself. We have a Minister of Artificial Intelligence and New Technologies and Blockchain. There is going to be a lot of noise from the Middle East, Saudi, Qatar, and UAE mostly. There's a lot of campaigns that we run that I know. Travis Scott Fortnite event, we were behind that. The Vodafone virtual world that we created with mixed reality with Optima Media in Spain. There was a lot of blockchain projects that we've done. We are in discussions with many players, as far as I know, that they involve me. But there's the question, I think, is better to put it to Warren, and he can give you a better understanding of the last couple of years.
Sure. So request all the participants to also look forward to the next session by Ward as well. Also, there's a request to demo your Fox avatar for the last 5 minutes, at least.
Say it again. Is there a request?
The avatar that you had shown. So the last two questions, people wanted to be seen. The new avatar.
They want to see which avatar.
The one that the Zoom avatar that we are talking about.
This one. There's literally a new feature, and this shows as well what trends are happening, right? So I was just looking at Zoom. We're team users. We're not that much on Zoom. And when I was looking at, they created a new feature, which is in beta version, and you can actually put your avatar here. Nice. Zoom most probably will start being a direct to avatar brand, putting a marketplace of NFTs that you can put into your avatar here. So right now it's limited. It's quite animal driven. But I'm sure in due time we can have Ready Player Me avatar here with your own skins, with your own artworks, and enjoy and have fun. Yeah,
the future looks fascinating. So the last two questions. One is, which do you think would be the use case that will really push mass adoption of Metaverse?
What will be the use case? I think, or what will be, I think it's about people being aware of their digital wallets. I think this is the key to everything within the metaverse. You can have an experience in the metaverse which doesn't include to have the use of crypto. Let's put it that way. People are really, fearing the crypto volatility and crypto as a whole, as an industry, right? Because most of the people don't understand. Digital wallet, there are 3 million, the last research I did, a month ago, it was 3 million active digital wallets within a year. That is nothing. If we look at, adoption, if everyone has his own wallet in the pocket, right? Everyone in the purse, everyone has a, credit cards in that wallet, they have money, cash, maybe not. They have loyalty program cards that they use. So once this is integrated within your digital wallet, loyalty programs, NFT collections, things that will give you access to new worlds, new experiences. I think that is when people will start adopting, Metaverse and Web3 technology even more. So I think it's just a matter of time that people will understand that they need to have some money plugged into those digital wallets in any cryptocurrency, stable coin, altcoin, whatever it is, that they can make use of it, and with that purchase, in-game products and NFTs and leave that experience.
Okay, thank you. So the last question is, how do you convince a CMO to come aboard into the metaverse?
Data. It's all about the data. As you can see, if you can validate that their money is well invested and they can, for every dollar they get 1.5, 2, 3, 10, then is when they will see the value. And I think those luxury brands already paved the way, the path for the next ones. Tiffany's, Nike, Adidas, they all make millions. I was in a conference this morning with the Sandbox. What they did with Snoop Dogg, they did in 1.5 days, in less than in a day, pretty much. They did $6.5 million worth of revenue just by selling an NFT collection, activations, and so on. As you can see here, Bored Apes or Lazy Lions or Doodles, all of these are massive NFT collections that were really well funded by early adopters.
Yes. Okay, thanks, Victor, for this wonderful session and the interactive Q&A. Thank you so much from the blockchain community as well, and hope to see a lot of success in the metaverse for EPAM as well. So just want to thank you, all the participants as well. Hope you had a wonderful informative session from Victor, and looking forward for all of you to join our next talk on Web3 by WOD. Thank you so much and have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone.